The original tower of all things, the tower of parallel intersection. Tang Mo held a chalk and wrote these words on the blackboard in the classroom. This was written on the red ticket that Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo received. At the time, Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo still hadn't left Noah's Ark and were still in the Black Tower game. They didn't know about the 7th floor's treasure hunt game, so this clue was very strange and couldn't be understood at all. Thus, both Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo were surprised when they saw it. Now this seems to be a clue suggesting the location of the special Black Towers. Lian Yuzheng asked, what is the original tower of all things? The beginning of all things was the origin of everything. 1 year ago, the Black Towers suddenly appeared all over the world. They emerged together. There was no first tower and no last tower. Which one was the origin of all things? Tang Mo thought about it. First of all, it is impossible to be the first tower that appeared. There was no order to the Black Tower's appearance. Everyone thought for a moment before Tang Mo, Chen Shanshan, and Mu Huixiu turned to look at Fu Wenduo. Fu Wenduo stared at the words on the blackboard and spoke in a calm voice. There are 2 Black Towers in Beijing. One above the Forbidden Palace and one in Chongping. I was told to be prepared to attack the Black Tower near the one in Chongping. It is the original tower of all things. Of course, I entered the tower attack game near the Forbidden City. Thus, I'm not sure which one is right. The beginning of everything was the meaning. It was the first one to open the tower attack game, making the Black Tower announce it 3 times and singing a song of thanks. The first player in China and the world's most powerful stowaway, Fu Wenduo. On November 23, 2017, he became the first player in the world to attack the tower with his strength and pulled all Chinese players into the tower attack game. On the same day, he cleared the Black Tower and became the first player in the world to clear a tower attack game. This was the beginning of everything. Tang Mo suggested, we will first go to the Chongping area to check before going to the Forbidden City. The first tower was found and everyone wasn't in a hurry. They needed more information and couldn't act rashly. Chen Shanshan analyzed, the beginning of everything refers to the first floor of the Black Tower. Coincidentally, the towers are close to us and it is easy to verify. The parallel intersection, the little girl didn't finish her words as she suddenly realized something and stared at Mu Huixiu. The young woman with the high ponytail smiled helpless. China District 3, China. On March 27, 2018, the first place on the time leaderboard, the returnee Mu Huixiu of China District 3 successfully cleared the Black Tower's 4th floor and opened the 4.0 version. From that moment on, the returnees could return to Earth because the 2 worlds fused. If everything started from Fu Wenduo's tower that he attacked, the fusion of the 2 worlds was the tower that Mu Huixiu attacked. This was the parallel intersection. Tang Mo said, barring any incidents, these 2 towers should be confirmed. If there is a mistake then we can verify and correct it. Unfortunately, Li Xia is the 3rd person to get a clue and we don't know what clue she got. Still, there is another clue. Tang Mo looked at Mu Huixiu and Andre. What clue did you get and does it suggest the location of a treasure Black Tower? A light flashed in Andre's eyes. The rough and strong Russian stared silently at Mu Huixiu before suddenly leaving the classroom. He left very suddenly, causing Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo to frown as they detected something wasn't right. They glanced at Mu Huixiu and saw her helplessly spread open her hands. This clue is really complicated and it isn't convenient to say. Still, I guarantee that it doesn't tell us the location of a Black Tower. Fu Wenduo was silent for a moment before asking, there isn't a hint to the location of the treasure Black Tower like our clue. No, she was certain and her eyes were calm. Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo quietly stared at her before Fu Wenduo changed the topic. Okay. Let's go look at the Black Tower in Chongping. They hadn't known Mu Huixiu for long but Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo chose to trust her. This powerful returnee had a special power. After knowing her, they would understand that she might not be a good person in a pure sense but she was a trustworthy teammate. This person was worthy of trust. This was reflected in the Noak's Ark game. Without further ado, everyone packed up and prepared to go to the nearby Black Tower in the Chongping district of Beijing. Tang Mo said, if there is still time, we should go to Guangzhou. We already know that the 2nd Black Tower is in Guangzhou. He looked at Mu Huixiu and she told him, it is next to the center of Guangzhou. We have to attack the Chongping Tower as soon as possible. I don't know much about the average level of players in Guangzhou because I didn't stay there for long. While I was there, the most powerful organizations in Guangzhou sent people to follow me. I played with them and their strength is okay. Still, it is at most on the level of the 4th floor. By now, it might be the 4th or 5th floor. Being on the level of the 4th and 5th floors made them one of the best players in the world. However, this was the 7th floor's tower attack game. Even Tang Mo couldn't say for certain that he would succeed in raiding the towers and he was less sure about others. Ruan Wangshu glanced at the time. In order to ensure the success of the tower attack, Fu Wenduo, Tang Mo, Mu Huixiu and, he originally wanted to say Andre but Andre had left the classroom and still hadn't returned. Ruan Wangshu paused before continuing, you go to the Chongping district to check it out. Li Miao Miao, Lian Yuzheng and I will go first to Guangzhou with the members of Tianxian. We will attack the tower together. Tang Mo nodded. Go by Shanghai. Fu Wenduo and I have a friend in the Shanghai Attack Organization and they have several powerful players. You can work together and go to Guangzhou to attack the tower. Ruan Wangshu nodded in agreement. The 2 sides discussed it and decided to split up. Mu Huixiu looked around. That Andre guy is finally gone. The Russian player Andre had been pestering Mu Huixiu since half a month ago when he tried to kill her. After that, the two of them worked together in several Black Tower games and Andre never mentioned killing Mu Huixiu. In particular, he inadvertently learnt from Tang Mo that Mu Huixiu became first on the time leaderboard because she killed the previous first place rather than killing many people. He didn't say anything about it. Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo wanted to attack the Black Tower's 7th floor because they didn't want to sit still. Second, the erased Black Towers are completely random. In addition, the 5 Black Towers that are part of the game contents will be erased after the game is over if they guessed correctly. The Black Tower in Chongping district of Beijing was one of the 5 treasure Black Towers. As long as they stayed in Chongping, they could live for at least 7 days until it was erased on the last day. It wasn't unreasonable for Andre to not attack the tower. Tang Mo suggested, "Shall we go first?" Mu Huixiu thought about it. "I will go find him. Don't look at his appearance. He is very strong, no worse than Major Fu." "Of course, I'm talking about the force aspect." Fu Wenduo told her, "Then we will go to Chongping first." "Okay." Tang Mo and Fu Wenduo left the Tianqian base first. Mu Huixiu looked around the school for a while and found Andre sitting on the edge of the basketball court. For the 3 million remaining Earth players, they had spent 8 months in the Black Tower games and now it was June 19th. But on Earth, it was November 18th, 2017. From the first time she saw Andre, he was wearing this heavy coat. The grey fox fur buried most of his face, plus there was the thick beard and hat. He only exposed his eyes to the outside. No one could have imagined that this rough and strong Russian player had such clear green eyes. At this moment, those eyes were quietly looking at the center of the basketball court. Mu Huixiu leaned against the basketball hoop and raised an eyebrow. "Go to Chongping?" Fu Wenduo and Tang Mo have already gone. Andre slowly raised his head and looked at her. Then he asked, "How many people have you killed, from the Earth going online to the present?" They were alone so Andre spoke in Russian. Compared to the strange and funny Chinese, the Russian player speaking Russian sounded rough and low, as if his voice was resonating in his chest. Mu Huixiu asked, "All of them?" "Yes, all." Mu Huixiu thought about it. 78 Andre was suddenly silent. A moment later, he said, "I made a bet with myself. If you have killed more than 91 people, I won't hesitate to kill you and resurrect Valentina." This was the first time Mu Huixiu heard this name. It turned out to be the person Andre wanted to resurrect. "Your wife." Andre shook his head and pulled out a photo from his coat. The edges of the photo were wrinkled but it was very clean. It was clear that the owner was very protective of this photo. He couldn't bear to let it be damaged but he couldn't help taking it out over and over to look at it again. From Russia to Guangzhou, from Guangzhou to Beijing. On the road, Andre had looked at it 264 times. Mu Huixiu had good eyesight. She looked down at a middle-aged woman smiling cheerfully while holding a girl in her arms. The woman was slightly plump and there were light brown freckles on her skin, but she smiled happily without any traces of worry, her happiness dazzling. She held the girl while a tall and handsome middle-aged man hugged her waist. The clear green eyes hinted at the identity of this middle-aged man. Mu Huixiu looked at the photo and smiled. "You turned out like this." Andre said, "Valentina's birthday is September 1st. Before her mother died, she asked me to protect Valentina. However, I couldn't do it. She was pulled into a Black Tower game and never came out. If you had killed 13 more people, I would certainly try my best to kill you and save Valentina." Wind blew through the basketball court, causing the gravel to move. After a long time, Mu Huixiu turned to the entrance of the basketball court. She didn't look back as she called out, "Go to Changping's Black Tower." Andre lowered his head and pinched the edges of the photo. A few seconds later, he put the photo in a treasured inner pocket of his coat. He got up and followed Mu Huixiu out of the 80th High School. Half an hour later, 6 people arrived in Chongping, Beijing. They weren't close to the Black Tower when Tang Mo heard familiar music. He listened carefully before looking at Fu Wenduo with surprise. Fu Wenduo confirmed his guess and as the two people approached, they saw a huge yellow exclamation mark suddenly fall from the sky. Thump thump. Wrong answer, wrong answer. Like the exaggerated special effects in cartoons, the exclamation mark flew through the air and slammed into the ground, smashing the player standing in the yellow grid into meat sauce. Fresh blood splashed onto the ground, forming a blood flower. There were more than a dozen identical blood flowers around it. 7 or 8 players trembled in the yellow grids as they looked forward with horror. Just below the Black Tower, there was a small table covered in delicate lace. The table contained a British 3-tier snack tray with a variety of small and beautiful cakes placed on it. A hand covered in white lace gloves gently picked up a white porcelain cup and drank a handful of black tea. The beautiful girl covered her lips and smiled. "Oh, you have the best black tea I have ever tasted, Lord Grisha." Opposite her, the gentleman in the crimson clothing smiled and raised his cup to Wang Xiaotian. "My lady, it is my honor that you like it." Wang Xiaotian smiled sweetly and turned to look at the few people who were answering questions. Suddenly, she saw 6 people standing not far away and blinked with surprise. "Dear Grisha, look who I saw. There are some old friends." Grisha laughed. "I wouldn't be here if I didn't know they would definitely come to attack the tower." Wang Xiaotian said, "It is why you originally chose this tower, not the other 3. I thought it was because it was close to my tower. I'm really hurt. If you cry, you'll feel more lovable. The tears of a lady sometimes makes her more beautiful." Wang Xiaotian tried hard after hearing the words but she couldn't cry. She no longer pretended and raised her cup to Tang Mo's group of 6. "Since you are here, don't go." The beautiful Cinderella winked. Welcome to Cinderella's Happy Quiz Game. Added a KO5 for the people asking for an alternative to Patreon. https://ko5.com/rainbow turtle. Pledge any amount to my Patreon to access to the BL Google Drives, where you can get early access to any chapters I have completed. You can also join my Discord channel to chat with fellow readers about the novels.